Hey, Bryce here. So today let's talk about how I overcame my fear when starting my bookkeeping and accounting business. So this is really how to open a bookkeeping business for beginners. So maybe if you don't have a million years of experience, this is something that can really help you, get started. So I get asked this question a pretty good amount of time. I actually got asked this question yesterday. It's like, well, hey, Bryce, like how can I start a bookkeeping business if I, number one, don't have experience, I've never done a business before, when people only hire people with accounting business experience. And that's simply not the case. Now, in some cases, like people might be more inclined to work with someone like the bigger companies, but there is a niche for every single person that has the skills of accounting and bookkeeping. You just need to understand how to find your specific foothold inside the market, and we'll kind of go deeper into this video. Then I also make these videos so you don't have to repeat the same mistakes or thought processes that I had when I was first starting my business in 2015, okay? Because if I had videos like these, I would be so much further ahead, so much faster. I wouldn't have to have spent, 6 months just struggling when I first got started. Also, if you want some help, like these videos are very, very informative, but there's a lot of videos you have to go through. Same thing with like YouTube. YouTube is this giant library of content online. If you want to just skip that and know exactly what you need to do step by step so you can grow your business, go ahead and click the link inside the description, either above, below the video, to book a call with myself to see if I can help you inside our mentorship program. So let's attack this thing. So past failures do not define future success. So, failing in one business does not mean you can't succeed in another. Now, the skills and lessons from past endeavors can often be applied to new opportunities. So, when I was first getting started with bookkeeping and accounting, it had been after like a string of like business. Like I tried different online businesses and offline businesses. Actually, I forgot about one of the businesses I tried to do until just now, but I wasn't really successful. Like I tried commerce, that was not profitable. So I was losing money on my e-commerce business. Even though I was doing, well, revenue wise, net profit was terrible. I tried a what is that called? It was like a food prep company. Yeah, so basically I walked around different like gym parking lots and I put like flyers on people's cars, like literally just like stuck them underneath the windshield. And it was just like on a regular, like let's say it's like a regular sheet of paper with like some information. Actually, no, I think I got real. I'd like to say, and I don't know if exactly, I can't remember, but I like to say I got real paper for that. Like I went to a print shop, print out. We got one call and one person like, hey, why did you put that out my window? You know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, that didn't take off. Yeah, I tried doing Amazon, I tried doing eBay, I tried doing a web design company, I tried doing like a digital marketing agency, but it's just like none of those things really worked, right? None of them really worked in parentheses. But what really happened was I was building different skill sets that allowed me to be able to go and find the business model that worked and be able to actually take advantage of it. So let's say, for example, one business I tried to start was like I was trying to sell like power banks where you can like stick it into your phone and it charge your phone like a portable power bank. They didn't have that back in like 2014, 2015. That wasn't really as popular. So I actually tried to make my own and it looked like I used like an Altoid box. You plug it in like yeah, it was and I tried to walk around with it and then I like found some at Walmart and I tried to sell it, but I ripped off the packaging. It was like so bad. I wonder if I still have any of those. I probably don't, but you know. But yeah, so with each business, what I did was I wrote down, okay, lessons and what do I need in my next business model? Okay, so let's say for the e-commerce, it's okay, I need to have something that has high profit margins because the stuff I was selling at first, I was drop shipping. And the drop shipping had like below a 10% profit margin on the front end. That means as soon as I sold it, I only made 10%. So for every like $10 item I sold, I only made $1 in profit. And that was way too close because that when there was overhead costs and operational costs, it wasn't high enough revenue or volume to actually like be profitable. So that was the first thing. These have like a large gross profit margin. Next thing, when I was doing those food stuff, there was a lot of regulations around food. So I need to go to a business that was low regulation. Then I did something was like it was like senior citizen chair workout. So I was like going to senior citizen centers and I was doing like chair workouts, like literally in a chair, like moving like different things. Some people use weights, some people didn't. And that business was terrible because number one, there just wasn't enough of them inside of like the area that was like willing to drive to like really make a good income. So like I actually got some clients with that who were doing that, but it just wasn't enough. Um locations, right? Because I was selling to actual like centers themselves. I wasn't selling to each individual senior person, right? Because seniors had like limited income, so I went after the building itself. But what that taught me was I needed to have something where there was like a accessible market. The second thing I had learned with that was like I needed a business where I could do it from anywhere, so I didn't have to go drive. Um, Another business, Amazon FBA, where you had to buy a bunch of stuff in bulk and then ship it to the warehouse. So I figured, okay, I need to be able to have a product that doesn't cost a lot of upfront capital, right? Because I was spending $1,500, $2,000 for like a shipment of products on Amazon, but I didn't know if any of them would sell, right? So like what I learned from there is you either need to start with a small sample test, so I get a sample and try and sell it online, or you go and find the item like in a smaller place, right? So all these from lessons that I learned, and I wrote them down on a sheet of paper, right? So now when it came to bookkeeping, bookkeeping matched all those different things, right? So every time you sell it, the profit margin is very, very high, even before like the gross margin is super high. Next thing is there's a huge market for it. You don't have to leave your house. Another thing is that you don't have to buy a lot of inventory up front because it's a service, right? So that really took care of my inventory and my cash flow challenges. And then it was just so much easier to kind of like run that. Now there were some challenges with it, right? But that's because like there's more of like skill sets. But the point of that last slide was that there are opportunities that you can learn from successes and from failures that will allow you to be able to go and reach your goals a lot easier over time. And that's what we really have to kind of be focused on. Next thing is consistency. Okay. So consistency over time rather than quick sprints. So what a lot of people do is they get motivated to start a business. Maybe like they got upset with their job. Maybe they had a new bill that hit. Maybe they have a giant, like, maybe they're trying to pay off student loans. And they feel very motivated for about a week or a month. I'm guilty of this. Even now, I sometimes have this, right? I was really blessed that like I got consistent in two business models that really worked for my personality. Um, they really work for my personality. Because like nowadays, like I'll try something and I'll be like, oh, I hate this. Why am I doing this? And like it makes sense because if you have a full-time job, then it's like there's oftentimes like something that you don't like about it, but it's just bearable enough for you to be consistent in that, if that makes sense. Right. So the challenge is really understanding that in order for you to really leave the job or leave whatever you're doing currently, you have to be able to put yourself in a position to where doing this new business fits into your schedule. That's a really big thing, right? Because I mean, like consistency over time is crucial to building a sustainable just anything in your life. You have to develop the process and stick to it. So what I like doing is I like looking at my calendar over the last like X, Y, and Z days, months, years, and seeing like when am I consistently open? When am I consistently closed? If you have kids, when do your children generally tend to go to sleep? Right? So you can work your business around those times. You can manipulate the time zones to fit the times that you need to, right? So it's very, very, very important because oftentimes, like if you're starting out and you're like really kind of nervous or like you have like a little bit of fear about like whether or not you can start, you have to, you can overcome your fear by desensitizing yourself to the work. So what do I mean by that? So one reason I started doing cold calls for business owners was because I just was really nervous about speaking to business owners. I was afraid they would know I didn't have 50,000 years of experience. I was nervous that if I talked to them, they'd be like, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing," right? So what I had to do was I had to get over that. But I couldn't just go, you know what I mean? You can't just get over something. Like that's a little bit unreasonable to kind of like ask or say, just get over it, right? No. So you desensitize yourself. So I did like I spoke to like 1 to 2 business owners on the phone every single day for about 2 weeks. After a while, rather than me being nervous or afraid of them, I was more irritated with them, right? So being irritated with someone is a lot better than being afraid of someone because at least you can be in that space as much as possible, right? But it came from consistency and like developing that process. Once I got over that fear, then the next fear was like, can I actually compete with other accountants and bookkeepers that have more experience? And then after that, the next thing was, now I can compete. Can I get them to pay me a price point that I want? And then once I did that, so it's like all these little baby steps that allow you to be able to like move forward and like to go and gain like success, right? Next thing is like adapting and excelling in customer interactions and sales despite initial reluctance. So like for me, for example, if you notice the first couple business models I started and I did, they were not really business models around talking to people, right? So e-commerce, Shopify, Amazon, etc. They weren't really customer focused. And even if they had an area of customer focus, I didn't really care about it. I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. That was my thing. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to like print money and just like not talk to anybody and just like do whatever I want to do all day. Right. Which I mean that happens nowadays to a certain degree, but it's like I had to learn how to actually like care about talking to customers and help people out. Right. And like that was a big thing for me. So it's just like I sacrificed a little bit on the like having to do customer service for having time freedom and financial freedom, right? Because oftentimes like the business models was like you don't talk to anybody or you don't talk to any customers. Those business models are generally a little bit they're more like hacks than business models, right? If I could start over again, right, I would just start with bookkeeping from the start. Like, don't try and like go and like have one of those hack side hustles that you think it's gonna make you $1 million a year with like zero effort put into it. That's not realistically gonna happen, or they're underestimating or under representing how much work actually goes into the preparation to get it started. So I was talking to a mentorship student. She was like kind of new to the program. She's like, "Well, I thought I could do this bookkeeping business with like zero with like how'd she say? She said, I thought I could make, like 6 figures with like a part-time time investment." I was like, well, I mean, kind of, but someone's gonna be spending time doing the work. So whether it's you, an automation, or a virtual, what's it called, staff accountant, someone has to be doing the work. And in the beginning, when it's just you, it's not like, you have to put in some time and some effort. Like it's not just gonna kind of like just grow, like you know what I mean? Like, because here's the thing, you can grow it to 3, 5 grand a month, and like while you're growing it, it only takes like an hour a day because you don't have any clients. Once you start having the client work, that's where the time kind of comes in. You're gonna be spending your time doing client work, right? So I mean, the better you get at sales, the more client work you have. So that's going to increase your time investment. So even though to get the clients doesn't take a lot of time, then there's still time spent in the business. So you can reduce the amount of time you spend by hiring someone to do the work for you, and then you can have that. But the way people kind of think that business works is that, you just have an idea, you kind of do something, and then like all of a sudden you're making a lot of money and you're spending a little time. It's like you have to build your way to having as much time. Like I have a team on both businesses. I have a team for my mentorship program. I have a team for my accounting and bookkeeping business. Okay. And what that allows me to do is I can shoot YouTube videos. I can go for a walk during the middle of the day. I can go drive an hour to a dance place during the middle of the day, dance for 2 hours, and come back. That's 4 hours of my day of my day spent. And it's not every day, but the system's in place for me to do that because I had to spend like the first like year like being very strategic and building that. Right. So you can build it, but it's just like, and that's another thing, like learning how to learn from others, right? The reason why you join a mentorship program is because it provides you guidance and structure to help you avoid common pitfalls and accelerate your progress. Now, because again, like that could be very like imagine she didn't do a mentorship program and she was just kind of going around thinking for like the next like year and a half, 2 years that number one, it doesn't take any work to grow a business, and number two, that she's doing something wrong because her business is not magically growing, without her putting her time in. You know what I mean? So it's just like and I'm not being sarcastic. I'm telling the truth. Like, do you think would have happened if she would have gone through for a year, 2 years, thinking that, wow, why is my business not growing? I know I can make 6 figures out like doing much work, right? And then that's going to cause her to quit because then she's going to think something's either wrong with the business or wrong with her, right? It's okay if someone thinks something's wrong with the business, but you don't want them to think that like there's something wrong with them because oftentimes it's not really wrong with them. It's just they have a misconception about what it takes to go. It's like, if okay. So if someone like I got this invitation from one of my friends, she goes, "Do you want to do a tough mudder?" It's basically one of those like it's like a 10-mile run with obstacles. It's an obstacle course mixed with a 10-mile run. That's my understanding. It might be a little bit off. That's what my personal trainer said. And with no practice. It's like, oh, you think you're just gonna come in and just like do this giant obstacle course with no practice and it'll be okay? No, you need to practice. Like there's stuff that kind of goes around this in order to make sure you do it. It's not just that easy. You know what I mean? Like like people can do it, they can do it really fast, but a lot of preparation, a lot of planning, and a lot of structure had to go into place in order to make sure that those people can do that very consistently, very easily. Awesome. Next thing, understanding your market. So you have to recognize that like the bookkeeping and accounting industry offers stability and demand, providing confidence and numerous opportunities. So number one is stability. This is like one of the most stable industries. The reason why is because even though there's AI and technology that can do a lot of the work for us to a certain degree, it's not perfect, but it could, the business owners themselves do not understand how to utilize AI or even utilize the internet. Like they're not. You're talking about AI is going to replace. They're not even knowing how to use the internet. You ever see some of these business owners try and log into their Gmail? You think they're gonna be able to like type in a million line code like prompt on the AI to talk about okay, build my bookkeeping like this and 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 then give me a financial statement. First of all, I don't even know what a financial like. There's so many things that like they don't really understand that allows us to even have this ability just from like competition from other incumbents, even like software apps and stuff, because they need to learn how to use the software app. But then on top of that, when you get a client, they say the average client stays for about 7 years inside of this industry. 7 years, okay? So let's say that someone's going, oh, excuse my nose is like really running. Let's say someone pays you $850 per month on average. I'm pulling up my calculator on my on this screen. 850 times 12 monthly payments, okay? So that is $10,200 for 1 year. Let's say you multiply out by seven, $71,400. Okay, now that is for 7 years, one client paying you $850 a month. Now let's take a step back. This is something I forgot to say, something I forgot to do. Let's say that they have, we will say 10 months of work that you need to go back and either fix or you have to do a compilation. You take all the different stuff they have, you put together some given financial statements, okay? So let's say it's 10 months. So you do 850 times about 10, right? Because that's the number of months that they're behind. That means you get $8,500 up front plus the 71,400. That means that is a $79,900 client. That's an $80,000 client right there. Okay. So if you go and get 10 of those kind of clients, that is, what is that times 10? What is about 800,000, $799,000 that you would have made over 7 years just from 10 clients like that. Okay. I don't know about you, but there's not that many business models that can offer that kind of consistency and income that simply. Like it really isn't. And the other thing is like that $799,000 goes to 50%, or it's gonna be 75% you, X% to your taxes, right? Whatever your tax bracket is, right? But you just have to learn how to like deal with taxes and like really like understand the tax code so you can really like lower your tax burden. Okay. So, but still, most business models, if you make $799,000, like you're operating at a what is that called? 799,000. You're operating at a 30% margin. Like that's 30% margin is high. That means out of $799,000, most like the best businesses will make $239,000 out of that, right? So that means they have to play around with $239,000. We're playing around with $799,000, right? So it might be your labor costs might be 20%. So even at $799,000, boom, 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 times point. We'll say you're at 70% margin, we'll say. So you've basically your profit before taxes is going to be $559,300 right there, right? And then from there you just have to like really understand like what is your tax bracket per year. So it doesn't take that much. That's only with 10 clients. If you got 10 clients, there's no reason why you don't get 15 clients, or you don't get 20 clients. It really just depends on like where you stop. But the stability that comes from that is amazing, okay? And it provides you a lot of different opportunities because now you're talking like think about it like this, right? Every single time that you work with a client, if they become a millionaire, if they're already a multimillionaire, you're dealing with multimillionaires on a pretty consistent basis. that's a lot of opportunities. They can invite you to do real estate deals. They can tell you about different like investments that they have, a million different things that are going on. You can impart like life lessons from them. You can learn about money lessons. You can learn about like where to put your money, like how to grow that money you get. So it's just like there's so many different opportunities that come from having the business model if you can overcome that fear in the short and the long term. Next thing is having a long-term vision and then sticking with it. So even when growth is slow, it can eventually lead to significant success. Okay. It's all about, remember, it's all about just long term. You just like focus on the long-term vision. So what I do, what I like doing is I have like a goal for either like the month, the year, or the whatever. Generally, I like doing like a 1 to 3 year plan. It's kind of my ideal planning cycle. So what I mean by that, so I have like a kind of a North Star that I want to go towards maybe like 5 years, and I have like immediate goals I need to do in order to do that. So how most successful people who are like in the online space that kind of like talk about how they do their goals, they'll have a North Star and they just don't really have a plan for it. What I like doing is having a North Star of like what am I going towards, but I have daily action items I need to do every single day in order to ensure that I actually go and reach that goal over time. So it makes things so much easier. It makes things just so much easier to kind of hit and to like really make sure that I'm on my way towards the goals that I'm setting out. So that's the big thing, know what you want, understand the steps it takes to get there. So some actionable steps. Number one, embrace your past failures, commit to consistency, seek mentorship, develop interpersonal skills, research industry, and set long-term goals. If you have that, no matter how fearful you are in the beginning, you will be able to overcome it and you will be able to go into your goals. Okay. Now, also, if you want some help, if you want to just like really just make sure that you guarantee success and you guarantee that you're actually going to make it to your goal in the shortest time period possible, go ahead and click the link inside the description either above or below the video to book a call with myself to get help inside of the program. Now, here's an interesting thing. The business doesn't just work. You don't just figure it out, if that makes sense. So I was telling this guy, um, I'd like to say that I taught this guy like it had to be maybe early this year, but maybe like January. And the guy comes from like a sales background. So he has like more of a sales background. He does some bookkeeping and he had like a bookkeeping job or whatever. And he thought that because he had sales skills, he'd be able to start the business. So he like kind of he talked to me in the message like, oh, I'll figure it out myself. I don't really need to have help. And then the other day he asked for like one of these marketing guides that I give out. And I was like, hey, what's going on, dude? I haven't heard from you in a little while. He's like, oh yeah, I was like, have you gotten anything kind of moving off the ground? And he goes, no. I was like, well, what happened? He was like, well, I thought I was gonna be able to get like my sales skills to like kind of make it work and blah 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 blah. I was like, well, dude, it's more than just like the people who are watching this video, you're not finding success because of an information gap. The business model is a very simple business. It's the execution of each of the steps in the moment that causes success or failure. So if you're sabotaging yourself on a sales call, but you don't know where you're sabotaging yourself, you're going to miss out on a bunch of consultation calls, even if you have good sales skills, because sales skills from a lot of different industries do not directly translate over to accounting and bookkeeping sales. So for example, I had a student that did more real estate sales. Okay, so we tried to translate it to how do you apply some of the same sales tactics and skill sets you have for real estate, but apply it to accounting and bookkeeping. Same thing. This one guy was like a used car salesperson. It's like, okay, well, you do used cars, but that is business to consumer. So you're dealing with individuals. You're not dealing with a business owner, right? They think differently, and the way that you objection handle and present your service is different. So once you translate that and you understand how to translate that, that's when you start having success. Same thing with like learning how to use like Facebook or LinkedIn. Like people are like, oh, I tried a Facebook group and like I didn't get any clients from it. So Facebook groups don't work. It's like, no, Facebook groups work really well. You just don't really understand how to use a Facebook group. So no matter whether you use LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I don't know, any platform online, it's not gonna work for you because you don't have the skill set to make a social media platform work. That's why, for example, if you ever look at my stuff, right? Why can I make money on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram and YouTube? All different platforms are very different, but it doesn't matter what platform I'm on because I understand how to utilize the internet to go and build an audience of people that want to work with me for whatever service that I have, right? But again, that came from paying for mentorship and like having people show me what I didn't know about this stuff. If I would have just thought, oh, I can just do it on my own and just figure it out, I'd probably still be working my job. And that's what most people on this planet do. They try and DIY, even if you don't have the money, okay, that's a different thing. Like, if you don't have much money, like, okay, you might have to DIY. But if you're in the case where it's like you have income, you have money, you have savings, and you're just kind of like, I'll just kind of like wait it out. That's really, it doesn't make any sense to me, you know? So it's like if you want to make sure, like, and also if you don't really want to have this business, that's a totally different thing. Like, you just kind of want to like, maybe have one client, two clients, just to have something like keep your mind sharp and just do something outside of your job. That's ignore everything I'm talking about right now. But if you really want to have this thing be the business that you use to support your family and maybe your lifestyle, if you don't have family, for the next 5, 10, 15 years, then you need to get help. Just reach out. If you have the funds, you have the means, reach out, get the help. It's a small cost to pay for your whole financial success and your financial future. Okay, so that's you. I'd love to see you on the call. If you're not quite ready, I'd love to see you inside the next video. Take it easy. Talk to you soon. Have a good one.